Cloud. All right, I think we're recording now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are doing our project today on the token economy system. And with us today, it is me. I'm Rayosha Huffman, and we have Madison Stone with us. I
Okay.
am BT, and she is a BC ABA. So we are doing our report on a elementary school. The elementary school houses about 500 students, ranging from pre-K to fourth grade. And within this elementary school, we see that they engage in a lot of elopement, where in the hallway, instead of walking in line quietly with their hands in their pockets or folded in front of them, they will take off running. They are constantly touching things, or they will hide from their teachers. And there are not enough teachers in the school for them to monitor the behavior for the students. So they are trying to find alternative ways to decrease the behavior and not have to write as many office referrals as they did. So here we chose to do a token economy because we feel like it would be helpful with decreasing the behavior. And then we're going to give it to Maddie so Maddie can tell us what a token economy system is.
Okay. We talked about addressing its needs. So this is going to be reducing the behaviors. And let's see. We're going to go to our next slide, which is also research. We're going to go a little bit forward and then come back. Okay. So what is a token economy? A token economy is a reinforcement strategy. So this is an intervention that we're going to use it's an intensive intervention that's often used in class as a positive reinforcement system for building up and maintaining appropriate classroom behavior. This is by Sambro, 2017. And basically what this means for you is that each class, we are going to give our kiddos, so long as there's no elopement, a sticker or something on this board for each period. And then once they get that, like this didn't happen, we're making this whole thing together, then they get to choose from some rewards. So just to go a little bit backwards for a second, we're going to talk about some of the research and why this matters now that you know what we're talking about. Here's our research slide. And what this means for you is that all of these people have basically showed us why it's important for us to know about token economies. A token economy is contingent on the presence of a specific positive behavior, and then this is then swapped. So in this case, we are going to say like staying in the class is our specific or reducing elopement, so the lack of elopement as our specific positive behavior. And then we're going to swap that sticker on that board for their backup reinforcer, which is going to be on that board. There's a couple options. So for each classroom, we can make it specific to what you have available. Some of the options that we talked about are fidget toys, chewing gum in class, which I feel like a lot of people request. Another thing is going to be like those sensory toys, slime, other like really amazing OTs can come help with some of the kids that have some extra needs, also in identifying things that we can put on their desks or on their chairs to assist. And the last one is going to be like extra breaks. So basically functional escape. One really important thing is that we're doing a function-based intervention. And in this case, the elopement, our kiddos are getting away from their activity, their classroom requirements, and achievements and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to increase them. And one of the ways we want to reward them is if they want access to something, we're going to give them that. And if they want, that like escape, that break, so long as they are abiding by these rules and using this intensive behavior technique or intervention, we're going to give it to them. The other thing to say about this is token economies have like broad evidence when used with group contingencies, as discussed in Simmons, Fairbanks, Grayish, and Myers and Sergey. These guys have outlined the 3 types that people use in literature. So the first type is going to be dependent, and this is kind of what we're talking about right now. So each classroom is going to have a token economy system where it's a whole classroom base or small group. They are dependent on the other people in the class. So those other kids in the class are going to also impact their ability to get these items. There's another type called interdependent. So it's like a whole group based on, I guess this is what it is, sorry. I guess it really just depends on how many kids are having this behavior to which one it really fits into. But here's the next one. Interdependent, so the whole class is based on all students. And then finally, independent, each student is on their own. So if you have like an IEP, you're going to have like independent things in there. Your like whole class based on a small group, that's going to be like, hey, there's 3 students in the class that are doing the elopement. So they're dependent on those 3 students that are engaging in this challenging behavior. Another thing that I want to cover is it is recommended that teachers set group-based goals for your classroom. So if you're going to have some independent and interdependent and dependent, so if you're using the whole class or some of the class or individual students, it is important that you set like whole-based goals of the class. So we're going to talk about, and the more buy-in you can get, the better it's going to be. So you're going to want to, pull in people. Okay, guys, this is our goal. How are we going to do it? And really just get everybody to buy in, and to say what they want to say. And then if you can present it and remind them, so like some visual aids, like this is our goal. We're going to stay in the class the entire time. Another thing that we didn't add there is like, yes, an extra break, but if you're noticing that kids need movement break, one really helpful thing to be would be like, okay, I understand that everybody wants to move, so let's do some jumping jacks. Let's like do those arm sweeps, all kinds of stuff where you are getting that gross motor movement that some of these guys may crave, and some of them may need it for some nervous system regulation. So the more that you know about that, sometimes the better. We're going to kind of go down to how to use it a little bit more as our next slide. And we'll talk about more of the specifics there. So here's how to use it. The pupil will learn to use a token economy contingent on the presence of a specific positive behavior, and they're then sought for that backup reinforcer, as I mentioned earlier. How you use it is going to be super helpful. We're going to model how to use it as well. Let me go back. Okay, so I'm going to annotate here, and basically, here's our first slide. I just want to get everybody's, keep everybody's attention for this. And here's an example, and Rayosha and I can kind of like go into it. So we're both in the classroom. I'm starting to like move around or something, or maybe Rayosha and I are getting kind of, unsettled, and your teacher is going to come and remind like everybody, okay, this is our goal. We're like 15 minutes left in math class. I'm so proud of everybody for staying in their seats. As soon as that 15 minutes over, everybody's going to get a star, and you can have this on your whiteboard, or a stamp. Let's see, let's do a heart. I'm all about that. There we go. So we're going to give everybody a star or a heart or whatever shape they want. And you can do like here, you could do it for as many students as you have in it, and they could pick their stamp, or you could just make it easy and kind of just like put it on the board. You'll have to kind of read some of your classes. You teachers do that excellent job of that and figure out what's going to work best for you in that situation. So that is one of the ways to do it. As soon as that that math period is up, this is when that will access that backup reinforcer. So as you can see on here, fidget toys, chewing gum in class, slime, extra break, and you can add things to that list as you have noticed other people are motivated by. And one way to do that is really to stay in touch. So if like people are like, I like these things, or if you can have parents set up kind of a drop-off list where, you can have some allergy-friendly snacks or non-edible things like Play-Dohs, just all that kind of stuff where you can continue to keep your classroom stock kind of a little bit more stocked so that people have always an option and it's not necessarily on the teacher's dime. Okay, so that is one way to go into specifics. At first, the teacher is going to use the token economy, and it only is going to need one token. So like I modeled, here's math class, we completed math class, we got to the end of that period. We gave some intermittent verbal like reinforcement, like they're doing great. You're telling people like how much time is left. And then each week that the class meets a criteria, absent of this elopement, 4 out of 5 days, we're going to increase by 1. And then this is kind of an example. 1 week, the learner's on a fixed token economy ratio of 1, which is that 1 like math class. And if no occurrence of elopement have occurred, the teacher will increase to 2 by the start of the next week. This will continue until the classes complete all day, all the work for the day, the week, the month, before accessing the backup reinforcer, and you'll go in order. If the client has 2 days in a row or your class, then with elevated levels of elopement more than 3 times, the criteria will be reduced. So we're going to keep going to our next slides. I know I covered some examples, and I'll go into a little bit more detail there. So this is funny, the hearts are still there. Here are examples, and one easy way to remember it is going to be if 100% of the students get lined up for recess within 1 minute of the bell, an extra 10 minutes of recess are given. So another example is if you're setting, everybody has different levels of vocal participation. So in music class, if the whole class is singing, humming, or playing an instrument, then they get to choose a prize. And that would just be like your level of engagement. Like I know I can tell you're listening or paying attention, or, and some of that could be dancing. Like if someone's dancing and they don't maybe they use a talker or another device that you can, see that they're engaging and participating. That's going to be one of those things that you get to use as a way to increase everybody's participation. Everybody gets a prize or extra recess, or, hey, everybody's loving this music thing. Let's have an extra few minutes of music. All right. So measuring success. Rayesha, do you want to do that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet.
So basically here for measuring success, we are trying to see if with using the token economy system, how successful would it be for the children who engage in elopement behavior. So give me 1 second. Prior to starting the token economy, baseline data needs to be collected for the individual classrooms on how much they are eloping from the teacher or from the hallway. Once the staff of school are ready to implement the token economy, data collecting will start and continue to be recorded from the beginning all the way until the end of the school year. Once the appropriate behaviors are shown by students in the hallway, they will receive tokens. Then once the student have enough tokens to cash in for their rewards or for their backup reinforcements, they will be able to be reinforced for engaging in the appropriate behavior instead of the less desired behavior. And the data collection will be able to tell the token economy is whether it is successful by the students or whether it won't be successful by the students. So within the school, we have that need for change because there is a need to decrease the inappropriate behaviors for safety reasons because teachers have had issues with on-calls for students that they could not find from eloping out of their designated area. And it is apparent that so many referrals are being given out by staff as a punishment procedure for eloping, but it is not proven to work. The staff at the Central Elementary School needs a protocol and training to help reduce the behavior and gain control of the students. And there would need to be an increase on hallway monitoring and better security at the doors, so it is not as easy for the children to escape. And we are going to utilize behavioral skills training. So teachers and faculty will participate in a training program over the course of a week. This will include in-person trainings where they will learn what the target behavior is. They will learn exactly what a token economy is. We will use video modeling, rehearsals, and feedback given to each teacher to make sure that they're meeting the needed criteria. Also, teachers will need to attend ongoing trainings to make sure they are still utilizing and properly implementing the token economy because changes in other outside factors could affect the implementation of the token economy system. So basically, we're going to gather the teachers together to make sure that we can have a successful token economy system. Because if the teachers are not implementing the token economy system the proper way, without the proper training, then it will not be a successful implementation. But if it is, then we can make sure that the token economy is successful for the students. So we can move to the next slide. And
Final tip.
so with the final tips, the implementation of the token board is going to be to decrease the behavior of concern across the entire school for their safety, for safety reasons. And because this is a tier 1 approach, it is going to be used throughout the entire school for each grade level from pre-K all the way to 4th grade. And whenever teachers are not in the hallways, it can be used whenever the students enter the classroom because it is transferable. And as long as the students are abiding by the token economy system and being reinforced for engaging in the appropriate behavior, we should see that decrease overall across a span of time within the school year.
Wonderful. Just as a reminder, some of the, criteria, we're looking for 80% of the week without elopements. And that is going to be measured so on a partial interval basis. Each class, just like your token economy that you have, we're going to have an X and a check on a data sheet. So you're going to say, did it happen in math? Did anybody leave the classroom in math? Yes or no? At the end of the day, you're going to put a score, and we're going to then look at that score at the end of the week and say, okay, so there were only 2 days this week that it didn't happen, or you're going to understand like, oh, our regression criteria, 3 elopements happened. We need to go back on that ratio of 1. So it's going to be 1 class period without it. We're going to access that reinforcement. If it becomes a need for a more intensive intervention, we're going to have to go to that level 2 or level 3. For your kids that do have IEPs, please check with their IEP team. If they have something similar, you may be doing a classroom version and their own version. And then that's kind of when you're going to do that small group version too. If you have one kiddo that's really not quite getting it, they have an IEP, they have their own system going on. And so other kids are now not accessing reinforcement, their behaviors are getting worse, things like that. We're going to then make it contingent on a smaller group of people. We may have that person have their own individual one token economy on a much smaller scale that their special education teacher will create and implement as part of their IEP. So if it's not already in there, you'll be doing the basically school-wide version, and as the need arises, definitely stay in contact with everybody's IEPs, 504s to make sure that we're following those in addition to some of these other tips. Let us know if you have any questions. We're going to include all of our email addresses, and we'll continue to keep working with everybody. Looking forward to the behavior skills training. See you later. Okay.